Sir.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. How we doing? This is Kevin here with Southside Barbell, Brendan.
Hi.
Here for Set the Standard Podcast, episode 3. Been a little behind just due to the life and business in general, with our military life and jobs and the business itself. But only missed a month, so we're back here. Going to kind of be all over the place for this episode. No really set topics. Just want to get out here, get one out, and just talk about a bunch of random information. Some stuff I want to talk about and cover today. We're going to be like military life, training, nutrition with that, adjustments made for deployment, as Brendan here is about to deploy soon. So just things to talk about with that between our career and experiences.
Yes,
I
facts.
can't say it right. But I'll turn it over to you now.
All right. Well, first I wanted to say we're in a new location today. We're in one of our recovery and rehab spaces where we have Body by Mariah out of. She does great work. She's certified for our powerlifters out there by Donnie Thompson with his body tampering, and specializes in body tampering, soft tissue manipulation, grafting, and cupping. I will say I've gone with her once already. It's been phenomenal. Most of us older gentlemen and ladies at the gym are going to her. It's been phenomenal work. She does great work, very experienced. So just shout out to her and the work she does. If you guys want to follow her or reach out to her, she is BDY_BYMARIAH on Instagram. Give her a like, follow, whatever. Hit her up for some of her work. But other than that, glad to see everybody back at the game. It's been a very hectic couple weeks for me and Kevin. I'm preparing to deploy, but we'll talk about that later. So I've been getting my family ready. Training's kind of getting geared around that as well. Even my diet and nutrition. But the gym's going very great. Getting a lot of members right now. A lot of great hardcore bodybuilders, powerlifters, strongman, strong women. It's great to see everybody come together in this more of a hardcore environment, which has been great. Also, a shameless plug here, about to crack open my Bum Raw energy drink. We are a Raw Revive gym and reseller, whatever the term is. So if you guys need any Raw Revive supplements, we do have them, and we can facilitate whatever you need from them from our pro shop in the front. But other than that, hey, let's get it started, man. I'm feeling good, feeling great today.
Yeah, so spill everywhere. I guess we'll start topics. We'll talk about training in the military. So most of you know, if you watched the last couple episodes, or at least the first one, we talk a lot about ourselves mainly, kind of our background and history to give you an idea going along. We both spent a significant amount of time of our life in the military. I've been in the Marine Corps 24 years. Been planning on my retirement, which is happening in a couple weeks. So that's really why I've kind of been busy. I'm getting a little bit of the beard out. I'm on my terminal now.
Must
it's growing.
Nice,
it's all white, so I can kind of show my age. But through our careers, and Brendan's been in how long now?
14 and a half
years, so almost 40 years between us both. And that presents a lot of challenges when it comes to competing, powerlifting, strongman, bodybuilding, regardless. As some of you who may watch this know or have done, a lot of it depends on your job sometimes or what you do. But I guess the first start, I'd like to ask Brendan, talk a little bit about some of your challenges with training through powerlifting and bodybuilding. When it comes to your job and your time in the Navy so far. Not deployment line, just normal life-to-life stuff, and how you have to adjust nutrition and stuff from like when you were younger to as you've gotten older. Because our experiences would be a little different when I talk about mine, because I lived in a barracks for a long period of time. So just how did yours go?
It's always varied. Training and nutrition has varied via the duty. The crazy thing is 12 of my 14 and a half years were on sea duty, so it was a little bit more demanding and time constraint, which has probably been a blessing. That's probably why I made so much progress on sea duty, is because it's forced me to go back down on my volume. Because I normally shift down to because I train way too much, as most of us do. I like to train 6-7 days a week, which I know I shouldn't. But it kind of pigeonholes me when I'm on sea duty to do that 4 or 5 days a week when we're not deployed, which is a great thing. And I try to I have more of that mentality: get in the gym, get out. with that. So I kind of dumb it down because I can hang out here for 2 hours and work out.
Which we do sometimes.
Yeah. I just did almost an hour and 45-minute leg workout for hamstrings. But when I get transitioned back to sea duty, I'm going to come in here with the intent, hey, I just got off of work because the days are so long. Like, get in, get out. Hit these 8 to 12 sets. And it's been like that almost probably my entire lifting career, whether it's bodybuilding or powerlifting.
So on the aspect, just for the individuals that don't know, what's the difference between sea duty for you and what it's shore duty?
Yeah, shore duty. So sea duty for me, well, we'll start with shore duty because it's a little bit less invasive.
The Navy specifies between the two, that's why I asked.
So for my shore duty, it's like I work in a building. It's like a 9 to 5 right now. It literally is, but it's even less. Like right now, it's 8 to 3, 8 to 4. Or my working hours is kind of like come and go as you please, almost depending on your, if you do your job, you can kind of come and go as you please. There's a little bit more freedom throughout the day. Hey, I want to go do some cardio. I want to go lift during lunch. There's a lot more freedom, right? And it's also food-wise. It's like I only need to bring 3 or 4 meals to work. I don't need to be so proactive. There's a lot more freedom. Sea duty is way different. So with sea duty on the demands, and this isn't even talking about us actually physically being on a ship going out to sea. We're being attached to a ship. Your work hours and your work days can be 10, 12 hours, just a normal day here in Norfolk or wherever you're stationed at, which is, boom, already puts a time constraint. Well, then you got to look at the food and nutrition on that because you're getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to be to the ship by 7. So you got to think about it. I got lunch, I got 3 meals I got to eat during the day, got a pre-workout meal. So I've already had 5 meals I got to prepare just to go to work. It's even on deployment. So I got to do that every night before. And then try to cram all that in while still, and sea duty is very hectic, right? Because the best way to put it is I'm human resources and an accountant in the Navy. Wow, I know it's kind of weird to see a dude like me to say that. But it's a very demanding job, but we don't do just our job. We do like firefighting. We do what's called maintenance. We work on equipment, and whether it's an AC unit, a toilet. Some people working on catapults for aircrafts. We have to do maintenance too. So all that's compounded into the day. So it's like I got to run around, and it might be here in Norfolk, but I got to eat my food cold because I only have 5-10 minutes to sit down and eat and get moving to my next task or whatever I got to do. It. On top of that, then I got 30, 40 guys that work for me. So I'm trying to figure out what they're doing. So that's the big difference in that. Where was it going?
So for the Navy aspect of it, because I'll talk about my experience in the Marines, and then actually with the Navy.
Yeah.
But what tips would you have for like younger sailors, seamen, when they're really wanting to get into like the gym, not necessarily to compete, just to get either bigger or stronger or more athletic?
Yeah.
What challenges might they face, and some tips to kind of help alleviate those challenges the best they can?
Less is more. Less is more. Simplify. Oversimplify what you're doing and how you want to attack your goal or what you're oriented to achieve right now. And when I say that, I would say, hey, meal prep. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS, right? I'm going to go back to my military terms. You don't want to like try to make all these fancy, crazy meals. I know this can get redundant, but when you're busy, chicken and rice and vegetables, you know what I mean? Keep it very simple, or just like meat, carb, vegetable. Don't think about, I got to have 4, 5, 6 fancy meals. Make it easy so you can meal prep, back the shit up and go.
So I do a lot of sandwiches, with like bagels.
Yeah, some people do sandwiches too, and that works. So if you're that 19-year-old that's in the barracks, make a whole bunch. And actually, I had a sailor that did that, and it worked very well for me. He was fucking 300 pounds, and he was huge. He was jacked. But what he did is he did ground beef and white bread for like 5 meals out of the day. And I mean, he was getting shit done. But same thing with the training. I would also keep it simple, and even go look into like a push-pull or upper-lower thing to where you can hit a push-pull legs or an upper-lower split to where you can kind of time manage where you're not going in here trying to do something. One, I don't think anybody should do a bro split anyway. But we'll get into that later. But an easy thing that you can kind of, not necessarily like, I have to go do this on Wednesday, I have to go do this on Thursday. You can kind of go off of, got a little too busy today, I got to skip the gym today. so I can come to the next day and do my upper.
Shift your day.
Yeah, you can kind of shift. It's easier to manage like a push pull legs or an upper lower rather than a bro pro split. And that's just like back to keeping it simple. And even start off if you're really really busy, what some of the young guys are, or just with time management. Keep it simple, even down to like a squat bench deadlift.
Yeah, because unfortunately, in their younger years, for those that aren't in the military or haven't been, but even those you starting out and older can remember this. Like, you don't dictate your days that well when you're younger. Let's say the first. I don't want to name ranks and stuff, so it might confuse some people that aren't necessarily familiar. But for us in military members, like E5 and below, probably. Depending on your job field or where you're at, but it's usually about the first 5-6 years in.
Yeah,
you're not dictating a lot of your own life. You're busy and you're at the whims of your leadership, and sometimes they're PT and you're physical training, and you might be too exhausted to go to the gym. So I think one of the big things I try and harp on people too, when they're trying to fit in something like, well, I can't just get it in Monday through Fridays. We don't have to. Look at a 10-day training week. And what I mean by that is like over 10 days, you maybe train 4 out of those 10 days. So it's not a Monday through Friday. Maybe it's like a Wednesday to a following Friday or something like that. And just know that you're not going to lose gains if you miss a day or miss 2 days.
Yeah.
You miss a meal or you have one bad day of shitty food. You're going to be fine. It's over the long haul if you have those problems, you will. So.
To even say that, I think when I was at my busiest, like hours-wise, demanding-wise in the Navy, I think at one point where I had to shift where I had one training day in the week, and then I was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then one peppered throughout the week, so I could get 4 days. And I think even at like the peak of busyness, I hit one day during the week, and then it would be like Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday. That way I could get those 3 to 4 days in, and that was like, hey, do I want to go out and party, or do I want to get my training goals in?
So I used to go train at
party at the gym.
Yeah, well, close. I train at 9 to 10 p.m. On Fridays and Saturdays, and then I would go out to the club at midnight, and then come back at like 6 in the morning, and then do a bunch of random stuff all day or nap a little bit, and then go back to the gym at 9 or 10 p.m. Now, granted, in my 20s, I could recover.
Yeah, I was old shit when I was like,
that was me. Yeah, that was my younger life.
I was 30 at my 5-year mark.
Oh, no. So some of the things I find that are difficult and tips, is the barracks life.
Yeah.
You live in the barracks. It's a little bit different now, so I can't say I know exactly how it goes.
I'm kind of glad you brought up the barracks. So we could probably talk a little bit about like nutrition hacks, food hacks, not necessarily nutrition hacks. Because, sometimes you do get the little skillet in there, or some do have the oven. Did yours have any of that?
So no, because we weren't allowed to.
So there you go. That's where I was going to go.
So there are the rules. The Navy's a little bit different, I believe. And again, I've been in a barracks for quite a long time. I kind of lived through my younger Marines and what they can and can't have. And I know people have it all the time, but like we weren't allowed hot plates.
Yeah.
We had a microwave and a fridge, and that was pretty much what you had to cook everything on. If you had a hot plate, you were caught, you'd be in a lot of trouble. Things like that, just because you're worried about fires and things along that nature. Same with like candles, not a lot of candles in the barracks.
So I'll make a few suggestions and see if you can kind of, because you experienced a little bit more than I did. But it's kind of like resolutions for that is you got your microwave. You can do your bags of rice. You can do your baked potato in the microwave. Your proteins, you can do your canned chicken. I know that's crazy, but I did a whole deployment on canned chicken and your tuna and stuff like that. And even the canned salmon. If you are really trying to force the hand to where you can do that stuff at the barracks at night, or even prep for the next day, you can do those little things like that where it works. Like Kevin said, and I'm not telling you to do this, but if you're lucky enough to not necessarily get a hot plate, but if you're allowed to get like a crock pot, you can do chicken breast or ground beef in the crock pot as well. So you can kind of try to find a way to maneuver. And then you even got your turkey.
Crock pot's godsend for meal prep.
Yeah.
Business. And ease.
And you can even do your sliced turkey. Just make sure it's the leaner one, because some of them are really fat. You get your lean sliced turkey meat, deli meat. Walmart has a great one that's cheap. And you have those options that you can kind of force the hand to where you can kind of eat pretty decent, right? You don't have to eat like, the typical bodybuilder. You can kind of that's kind of when macros, it doesn't fit your macros, right? Because it's more of doesn't fit your lifestyle. And that's when I would recommend that. Did you have any lessons learned, or?
I mean, I had some for the barracks area, and then we talked a little bit about adjustments too, because you brought up a couple good points.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to TAD or when you're out of town, basically, or on deployment, because you mentioned a few things that piqued some remembrance of stuff, because I did used to travel a lot and still did up until about a week ago. When I was young, so I was actually in the barracks like 2 times. I was in the barracks from my younger years, my first 3 or 4 years in, and then I was in it again in the Geo Bachelor style for almost 4 years as well.
Yeah.
A little bit older in life. I was allowed things like that, like couldn't put a hot plate and stuff I never wanted to. My toaster oven became my best friend, to be honest, for me, microwave and a toaster oven, and a rice maker. But so in my earlier years, I don't know if I had a lot of tips, but I just kind of, because I was a lot younger and my metabolism has always been crazy and my body adapts really quick to like lifestyle changes. So like when I start doing stuff, my body reacts fairly quickly. If I start eating healthy, I start shedding body fat like crazy. Or if I start eating shitty, I'll start gaining weight. It's just my body goes with what I'm doing, which has always been kind of a plus for me. But I would eat at the chow hall for 3 meals a day. So get up, eat chow for breakfast, eat chow for lunch, eat chow for dinner, and then I would go to the gym after afternoon, evening chow, like after work. So it would be basically about 4 o'clock, 4 p.m. or 5. You go eat. And then I would go immediately and have my old school Muscle Tech, Cell Tech, and Nitro Tech shake afterwards.
Yeah.
And then I would go to Subway and I'd eat a foot long sub. And I did that. I did that for a whole year and went whatever I was at, I think like 190 or something like that, to like 205 and calibrated 8%. But I was also training like that in the evenings and running 40 miles a week at least on average in the mornings. Run like 3 miles 3 times a week and then run 5 to 6 or 7 miles, and sometimes longer on a couple of days of the week, and sometimes do like a run on the weekends. When I was a little bit more younger and could do all that stuff. I think my bigger tips and thoughts come later in life when I was able to experience the barracks stuff as I got younger and was actually competing. Because at that time, I wasn't competing. I was just lifting in a gym, grow school style. Just found muscle fitness. I just did my thing on there. Rice makers are a big one. Rice makers are a big thing. 'Cause you don't just cook. You can cook other stuff in there, to be honest, but it works with the rice maker good and a toaster oven because it works very close to a normal oven. So I would do a lot of hamburger patties, lean beef like 93.7, turkey breast, chicken thighs sometimes, things like that inside a toaster oven. And I think don't worry about the whole where most people say, hey, I need to meal prep and get my whole week's worth of meals in. I need to get, all of the Tupperware. I don't think that is really as beneficial. My biggest tip would be to do about 2 days in advance. So I would do like the next 2 days and then I would make some more because it doesn't really take that long. So unless you're not in the barracks, and nowadays, to be honest, most people kind of sit there and play their video games or, something along those lines where they're kind of just relaxing and because they've been out and about working all day, so they don't want to do stuff, which is understandable. You have time, just throw that in there, just leave it alone. Like an oven. Buy like microwavable type food. And then you can stock like your fridges or whatever with whole meat and stuff. So it's a little bit healthier if you're really trying to like eat good instead of hot pockets and stuff. Which I had that time. When you're younger, it'll work for you to a point, but it won't as you get older. If you're really trying to get serious into it, I would tips are like the toaster oven and prepping about 2 or 3 days worth, so you don't have to worry about 30 things of Tupperware or cooking like 6 pounds of beef or 10 pounds of beef or whatever on the lines like most of us do now when we got a full kitchen from home. Those are some of my tips. What I was going to say, what kind of piqued my interest, but memory is like TAD. So you go on travel, it becomes a lot more difficult because you're not going to, most of the time, you're flying on planes, you're going somewhere else, you're not, it's not like a dangerous type thing, you're just going for conferences and meetings and training. So you have to bring your meals with you or you got to try and grab stuff and be able to eat without cooking. Sometimes you got a kitchen in your hotel, sometimes you don't, but it's never like full kitchens, even if you're in a hotel. Lunch meat became a big thing. So this morning I was going to bring a sandwich here as one of my meals just to get something quick in at the gym while I was here working. And I went to go grab my son's sliced turkey. It was 5 grams of fat per serving.
Yeah,
for turkey, I'm like, but the ham was like 1.5 grams. So I would say, going to, something's Aldi's, Walmart, Lidl's, this place like that. even Sam's Club, and you buy in like the meat in bulk, and you look and you get like that turkey or ham. If you like that, that's like a one gram per pound, 1 gram per serving type thing, where it's lower. And then have some bagels, which are already low. And I just make a lot of sandwiches for that. So I live off of, to be honest, whenever I go on travel for like a week or less, I live off sandwiches most of the time, to be honest. And I'll get all my calories in that way, and then my dinner will be something else. If I happen to have a fridge or whatever, it's Greek yogurt and other stuff. Things that are cheap, quick, and you can travel around if you're driving or, shove a sandwich in my pack somewhere or in my vest somewhere and just pull it out and eat it while I'm out and about doing stuff when I was younger, because it's just quicker.
Well, I'll break down what I've done as a junior and senior, short-term, long-term TADs or detachments or whatever your branch of the military calls it. So junior guy, when I would do the shorter ones, what I would remember what I would do, it was kind of similar because meal prepping wasn't really an option for going to a company or whatever. So
the companies and stuff really weren't even around.
Yeah, they weren't around then. So what I would do with that is, like, as you said, I would get my 3 meals at the galley or on base, and then my other 2 meals or 3 meals that I would try to get in throughout the day, where it was either like protein shakes, Rice Krispies, protein bars. This got a little bit like mid-career, but you can do it now. I would do a lot of Chipotle, and that kind of goes into, I also had started to do that a little bit as a senior one, because that's kind of like meat, rice, vegetables. You can kind of go there like, hey, I need 3, 4 meals from Chipotle, and that's last like 2 days. All right, you can throw those in and eat them throughout. As a senior person, though, as a senior enlisted, and some of the O's that I know as well that live this athletic fitness lifestyle. So I do 2 things, and this is for short duration trips. I will Google where I'm going, see if there's a meal prep place there, because we do get per diem, right, our allotted food amount, and typically that's a good bit of money. So I will find a place, and I will pre-order, like, hey, I'm here for 2 days, 5 days. I need 5 meals, 25 meals. Here's what I got. Cool. But one better one that I do like to do, if there isn't one there, is and shout out again, is VB Fit Fuel here in Norfolk, Virginia Beach. VB Fit Fuel on Instagram. Sierra over there has been phenomenal for me, and Steph has used her a few times for this. I will let her know, like, hey, I'm going out of town for 2 days. I need 10 to 12 meals. These are my macros, right? And then she will deliver my food to me. I will slap it in the freezer a day or 2 before my travel, and then I will carry that as a carry-on. It's kind of funny when you see the people's faces when you're going through the thing, like, what the hell's wrong with this dude? But that has been phenomenal for my short duration trips. A little bit on the pricier side, but you can only keep it within your per diem.
Yeah.
And then for my long ones, long duration ones, I did the same, because I've done a few that were like a couple weeks. I did one that was like 6 weeks. What I do with those, and these are the ones in America, like we're not going deployed or anywhere, I will do a rice cooker and a crock pot, and depending on what my diet is looking like, maybe a hot plate if I'm doing like steak.
So you bring that stuff with you, or you just...
I will either drive or I will go buy it. So I kind of weigh out my options. Is it cheaper for me to drive, or is it cheaper for me to fly there and then buy the stuff? I kind of I do like an Excel. I really nerd it out.
They're like 6 weeks is a little bit different.
Yeah, so the 6 week ones I'll drive and I'll pack the shit up.
I don't know if I've ever gone that extreme.
That's probably the craziest I've ever done. So I'll just do it that way, and then there's normally a commissary on the base where I can get the meat. And then one last one, I was going to talk about a quick training thing for this too, is the toughest one to date for me was chief season. So chief season is 6 to 8 weeks, depends on what's going on in the world and COVID and all the other things. Hopefully we're far enough along in this where COVID won't get us flagged. But with that, it is like 16 hours a day, maybe 18 hours a day of just stuff. You can't really talk about all of it. But with that, I would try to prep 2 meals. So being realistic, that's what I could get in. And then the rest of it was Subway chicken breast sandwiches, subs, and I would get like 2 of those for the day to carry around with me. And I was running a lot too. Yeah, the chicken breast subs, and then protein shakes. And for training for that is, I did have a home gym. So what I would do is I would try to squat, bench, deadlift. That's it. Once a week, I would come in and do 2 sets of deadlifts in the garage, 2 sets of bench, and 2 sets of squats, and then keep it
already gassed.
Like, I'm already dead inside, but I wanted to kind of let my body remember, like, hey, this is a thing that we do, and kind of maintain. It actually worked out pretty well. So just for all my chief selects out there, or people that are eligible for chief, or even the Marines that are lucky enough to go through that, that's kind of what I did. That was like my little cheat code for that. And it actually worked out pretty well. It was really cool. My kids would rally around me because they hadn't seen me in a couple days. And they're like, "Oh, Daddy's deadlifting. Let's go to the garage." And it was dope.
I think a lot of times there are going to be times, those of you looking to go in the military or younger in your life now, there are going to be times you're just not going to be able to keep your nutrition for a long period of time. You're not going to be able to train maybe at all for a period of time, and it's just going to be what it is. Do what you can.
Yeah.
For that, just realize that so you don't get stressed as much, and then get back at it when you're there. That's just going to happen sometimes.
Yeah.
So I've had periods where I couldn't do anything for like 2 weeks. There was just no physical way I could train because I was someplace there wasn't no gym, and then just it didn't allow it like what I was doing.
Yeah. Sometimes that's not a bad thing. Sometimes you need it.
No, it was kind of a good. Well, it's kind of a good break, kind of depending on what.
Well, I don't know. Your job's a little bit different.
Yeah, mine was a little different. I spent most of my career doing some stuff, and then I went into special ops community for a little over a decade, and that left me. Got some good training in, but also beat up my body a little bit more. But it did allow get to travel a lot.
Yeah.
And I would just look up gyms and Google gyms, and
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
contact them beforehand. Sometimes I get to go cool places. But with some of that, so TAD wise, training is pretty easy to manage if you're going to a location. It's in the States, or your job allows you to have, you're not working 24-hour periods, which happens sometimes. If you're not like in the middle of a forest or something like that, like I have been before, there's no gym there. You pull up some tree branches,
Yeah.
park PT. Usually you can look up gyms and go to places. But deployments. So deployments for us are drastically different between yours and mine. All yours have been on ship, right?
Yeah, but I'll talk about the delineations from what kind of ships and whatnot.
Okay.
There is my career path has been governed by my physical fitness journey.
So I'll talk a little bit about mine then, how I changed my training up.
Yeah.
And we kind of go into yours because they're going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
I was never on a ship. I was always on the ground somewhere, and we always had access to our own personal gym there. I actually enjoyed lifting there more than I do home. It's not like some people say, "Oh, I just love being on plumbing because it gets me away." It's just I had freer. You were free, more free.
Yeah.
In terms of that, so if I wasn't busy doing stuff, I worked off like a 10-day, actually close to like a 14-day style like split. So I would go day in, day off, day on, day off, day on, day off. I just did that for the entire every deployment. And then days in between, I would do some like cardio. It allowed great recovery. I was able to eat because I don't know, half the time I don't know what day it is anymore. They all kind of go together because you're working every day, every single day for those months on end. For mine, so it didn't really matter like what day it was. It's just like train. When I'm home, it's harder to do it because I do try and fit my stuff in the 7-day work week for the most part, because now I'll be a little bit more free now. I'm just really, the gym is really my only thing now, but before, it's like kids, I'm still at home, my regular job, and then trying to do other stuff. It was really difficult, managing family related stuff with making sure he allowed family related stuff. So I didn't just like abandoning my kids every time I'm home and go straight to the gym and hang out there all the time. So I was always trying to fit it within so many special days. And then sometimes, you have your training partners, so you try and coincide with them on their jobs. Deployments, I thought, for me especially, was an easier transition because you could just spend time getting jacked. I mean, the Marines do that a lot, at least most of us. Like, I think I spent a good amount of money, but I brought about 7 or 8 tubs of mass gainer and about 5 or 6 tubs of regular protein and creatine. I brought like all these supplements. I loaded like a whole ISO, just tons of supplements. Because everybody's plan is just get jacked on deployment and then cut down a little bit when you get back home, because it was much freer there.
That's how it works.
But as far as the ship goes for you, because it's probably maybe not as free, and then just the fact of a moving gym, which we've talked about a few times. So kind of talk about that for people that are on the ships.
All right, so there's a big disparity in the Navy on where you go that determines on the training ability
ship
facilities. Yeah, so Obviously, we have our expeditionary Navy that does a lot of stuff work with the people that Kevin used to work with. So those guys had a little bit more. They're ground based, so they have gyms, right? They bring the gyms with them per se, or they have FOBs, forward operating bases that they work out of, and they got gyms. But then you get your subs and your smaller ships, your service ships, and their gyms really are kind of like spaces that we're in right now, where they kind of jimmy rig a gym together.
This is
very
about
small.
this is about a 7 by 7 foot square.
Yeah, so they have very small. They might have 2 or 3 little spaces like that with a little bit of equipment, some dumbbells, stuff like that, a few cables, right? And the food isn't quite as available for those 3-4 meals a day, and you don't really have the other options. But for myself, and my career has been geared towards this, is I stay on aircraft carriers on my sea duty. So we normally have like 5 to 7 gyms, and they're not small either. I would say so. Right now, I'm going with what's called the Harry S. Truman CVN 75, and right now we've got the rogue belt squat, hack squats. We got kabuki deadlift bars. We got power racks on the hangar base, Smith machines, ellipticals. We have dumbbells up to 150, like cables everywhere, and several gyms like this. And even where I sleep, the berthing area, we have a gym attached to it as well with dumbbells, and then we even have a spin class room. So there's no excuse for the actual
a mini gold or something.
Yeah, so there's no excuse for the actual training aspect on it. And on top of that, one kind of goes with my job and being seniors. I have a lot more space and room. So supplement wise, I normally bring 2-3 months worth out, whether it's health supplements that I take from Revive, or if it's my normal pre-workouts and proteins, I take 3 months out, just have that keep coming to me. But the cool thing with that is we also have a very large ship store. And shout out to James Ball. He runs the ship store on my next ship, and he's been keeping it very well stocked with like raw supplements, Labrada supplements. So it's a thing that we can buy that on deployment. It's an option. You just walk a couple hundred feet.
So unlike me, we have the chow halls, or even not even on deployment. I'll just talk. Normal we can get out and get food if you don't go to the chow halls. On a ship, though, it's not like you can just go and grab something else. So does the store really help that much to supplement just what your galley stuff does, or do you act like how's the food on the ship?
All right, so the galley wise though, and this actually shout out to James Ball again. He's also in charge of the people that cook all the food.
Oh, there you go.
Right, so it's nice to have a upper level bodybuilder and coach that actually runs the food on my ship. But with that being said, there's actually 4 meals in set amount hours that are available for the crew. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and what's called mid-rats. It's very late at night. But on top of that, there's also grab and go. So there's like fruit bars. Like a fruit salad bar where you can get all your fruits, peanut butter and jellies, or your Rice Krispies, your cereal, and stuff like that. And on top of that, kind of the perks is also I'm a chief now. We do have a grill in the chief's mess, right? To where they do, so I might be able to get some things situated. Here's my Tupperware. Then we get some extra chicken breast. So it's a lot more available. And I kind of just getting ready to check into the ship. But my last ship, all right, I'll talk about it. I don't care. It'll be all right. For my 30-day and under 30-day and less underways, I actually had a deep freezer and a fridge, and I would pre-cook 10 pounds of steak and 20 pounds of chicken and cut it up and bag it up in 8-ounce portions, and I would fill the deep freezer up. I cannot confirm or deny that I had a rice cooker and a panini press in there as well. So I actually went 30 days without eating the ship's food one time, where I actually just made my own food in there, and as well as like oatmeal or cream of rice.
Some of the benefits of getting a little higher.
Yeah, so like.
Or knowing people.
Yeah, no, it's a combination of knowing people, being, using your resources and kind of thinking outside the box. Like, what can I do to do this? I've even, it's probably the worst thing I've ever done, but I brought like 200 cans of canned chicken onto the ship.
So when a couple times I go to the field, which is just not in a hotel, you're out, you're literally out and living in tents. That was one of the other things you mentioned earlier, I forgot. That's actually a very awesome thing.
Yeah.
I did, literally I lived off bagels And I used the bag chicken, little Tyson bag
Yeah,
chicken,
no, I do
VH1,
those too.
whatever. I would open it, put buffalo. It was like buffalo sauce, the canned chicken or packaged chicken, which I thought was going to taste like absolute dog shit. It actually wasn't that
It's
bad.
not that bad. And I actually forgot to say that we do
Yeah,
have the
bagels,
tuna
that's
in the
all I
grab
did.
and go.
Yeah, I don't do the
Tuna
tuna. I
backs
don't
are
do tuna.
well, they're in the grab and go on the ship as well.
But that chicken is
Yeah,
the buffalo sauces. I ate that for 30 straight days, to be honest.
it's not bad.
For 4 meals a day, and then I was able to get some other stuff other ways. It was it actually wasn't that bad.
Yeah, no. If you think outside the box, especially in the
Yeah,
Navy,
I actually
there's-
creative because I took a shitload with me.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was nice.
not bad. Not, I mean, so that's so I'll talk about the training on deployment though.
Yeah, for especially on the ship.
So I got a little bit more freedom now. The more senior you get a little bit more freedom though. But what I do is when I am very busy, so I kind of and I'm using this one as another opportunity, right? Because I do overtrain and I train too much. So I kind of like I got an hour to train. So I'm probably going to shift like strictly to a push pull legs, and focus on like some athleticism days as well. And that's actually training partner James. What we talked about because we got the hangar bay with like where we're going to do like yokes and stuff like that. But I'm going to focus to like less volume, focus on execution. And I did realize what you just said earlier, and I kind of caught on to this. Powerlifting has to be kind of throttled back on the ship. Even the big mighty aircraft carrier. I tore a bicep because of this.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get at. You
Yeah, I forgot you said
the
that.
struggles of
So-
that aspect of the training.
The smaller ships, they rock and roll like crazy. Like heavy lifting is completely out the window. Aircraft carriers, they slowly roll occasionally, and you can get away with some heavier lifting, but not anything I would say over 95, 97% is kind of out the window. And just, I'd even done it when we were in smooth seas, and I went for a 725 squat one time, and we lost steering. And the bar rolled down my back, and I tore my bicep. So that's just, lessons learned. Throw that out the window because you don't know what can happen. You are at war, and you are on a warship, so there are things you have to be cognizant of. And we are shooting missiles, so shit's happening. But it's one of the things that I did have to learn the hard way. You kind of throttle back on the heavy stuff, which is a good thing, though. But yeah, so that is a thing that does have
I
to
always
change.
throttle back on the deployment time
Yeah.
because you don't want to be. Well, for what I was doing, I didn't want to be dead exhausted. My body wrecked. Even though the mentality-wise, I would have just pushed. But it's better to feel a little bit more agile and not less broken.
And even same thing
doing
for us
certain things.
because I don't know what a fire's going to happen or
Yeah.
some shit's going to pop off or a flood. And I'm going to have to go save the day, and
Yeah,
I don't want
to
to
be home normally and barely roll out of bed.
I don't want to have to
make it
carry
work.
somebody up a ladder well and be really sore.
It's funny too. I was thinking about it because you do a lot of training. We talk how you get older, you get more senior in rank. You have a little bit more freedoms and time available to you. I think nowadays it seems like everybody has a pretty decent amount of time. Everything's regulated good, and you have good leadership.
Huge caveat
Yeah,
there.
you have the good leadership portion. I always did, so always had a lot of free time when I was younger. He would PT the shit out of us, but then I would just go in the afternoon. But it would always be in the morning, so then in the afternoon I still would eat enough to be fun.
Yeah.
So a little bit more with that, but you get more time and more freedom, and usually a little bit more broken. So it's kind of funny. So you're gonna tailor back anyway, even though you have more free time. Like now that I'm basically done, and my retirement's going next week. Next weekend, actually, I'll be doing my retirement ceremony. Kind of dressed up, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you could be all dressed up, more dressed up than I will be at the time, probably. But that's one of the pictures with my faces on it. It's nice. Now that I've got that, and I'm totally going to retailer a lot of my training to be more of like the 10, 12, even 13-day training kind of split because there's just no reason at this point. Like, I want to stay jacked and stay in good shape, and some of the best shape. And about to be 43 in about a week, and I'm still in phenomenal shape. So feels pretty good.
That means they're going to be 38 in 6 days.
I know, right?
5 days.
You turned just before I turned 40.
Yeah.
We were just talking about it the other day.
God.
I was like 5 of us that had birthdays in September here in the gym. Best month to get born.
Facts.
So that covers a lot of the stuff I really want to talk about training-wise and nutrition with military, because I feel like we've covered a lot of it. If there's any other stuff, hit us up in the comments. Questions, as well, if anything else you want to cover. So,
well, I just do want to. This goes to the setting a standard and all that stuff. you can set a good standard for you to follow. So this shows you to civilians, anyone in any line of the work in the military, like there's really no excuse. If you have a goal in the fitness and athleticism and strength, sports, health in general, there's really no excuse. Even with how extreme Kevin's job was in comparison to mine in the military, he was still able to adapt and overcome and make it work. So there's really ways to get shit done if you really just try.
Creativity, or find somebody that did it and get the
learn from their lessons learned. So I mean, there's no fuck excuses. I mean, there's really no excuse to not live the life that you speak that you want to live. There's where there's a will, there's a way. Yeah, I mean that was good, man. What else you want to talk about?
What else you want to talk about?
Okay, well, you're not officially retired yet, so I'm not going to ask you any of that shit yet. Side, we're going to go to the side right now. I wanted to ask you a very important question.
Okay.
What was your favorite scene in Deadpool?
The new one?
Yes.
Did you finally see it?
I did.
I'm not going to ruin any. I guess I'll ruin some spoilers. So, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, I've seen it twice now in the theater. Me and my son have gone twice. So, when I was younger, just to backstory it, I don't know if I mentioned this before, I might have in one of the other podcasts. We only have 3, so I guess not too much. But when I grew up, I collected comic books. I have every Deadpool one that was made from the first one all the way up until 2000. Then I stopped when I went to boot camp. And then a shitload of Wolverines. They were my 2 favorite comic book characters.
Yes.
I think Wolverine's number 1, Deadpool's number 2. I think Venom's number 3. Either way. My son's actually been grabbing all my Deadpool comics lately after we watched the movie a second time.
That's pretty cool.
And he's been trying to read them all, so I'm trying to dig them out for him. My favorite scene. God, that's I want to say
I hope it's not
mine. The what?
I hope it's not mine.
Okay. I'm going to say shit, that's a really hard one. It's either going to be the scene when they're fighting in a car.
Okay.
Because that was just hilarious, especially towards the end of it. Or that really cool part when they were both jumping out of the back of the bus and he had his mask, Wolverine had his mask on. That looked pretty fucking epic because it looked like out of one of my comic books. But I'll probably say the car thing when they're actually fighting in a car, the way that went, and like their verbiage between each other doing it. I like that part. That was pretty awesome.
Well, my favorite scene was because it was from one of my favorite movies, and it was a good reference point. Was when fucking Wesley Snipes walked in.
I was gonna say I was gonna guess that was what yours was.
When he called him a motherfucker. Because I just love Blade Trinity. I don't know why it was Ryan Reynolds. Great movies. But Blade Trinity with Ryan Reynolds is incredible. And when they got him in that movie and he walks in, and just the way he walked in, it called him a motherfucker. I was like, there it is. There it is.
So that whole thing when all of them walked in.
That was so dope.
So I watched it, I would say opening night, like a preview night.
Yeah.
Because I had to. I bought those tickets as soon as they went on sale like 2 months before it came out. Because I'm just like a schoolgirl freaking ecstatic over that movie coming out. So I bought them and I was there packed and people were just going freaking crazy. My son was like clapping and cheering, and I think he's seen the Blade movies, but he kind of knew about it. Not seen as much, but he was just losing his shit. He's 13. We're actually going to go see it one more time, I think, before it goes out of theaters.
Well, Wolverine was my favorite X-Men, hands down.
It's just my favorite comic character, actually.
Wesley Snipes' Blade is like one of my favorite movies ever. So it put
those are really good.
It put all my favorites in one place.
Yeah,
and I love Ryan Reynolds. He's pause, but that is my man crush.
I actually love all of his movies. I watched Proposal. They joked about that. I watched that movie actually, but I think it's just funny. Yeah.
You need to check out Six. I don't remember what the hell it's called. 6 something. You need to check it out. I'll send it to you after this. It's really good. He's got a bunch of special operators and weird people that work for him.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I don't remember it, but I've seen it.
But yeah, so okay, good. That was good.
One thing I like about all these comic book movies coming out is, so as growing up as an adult, because I'm still a nerd on multiple aspects, I would obviously have the background in chemistry, biology, and nuclear physics. People already think I'm just a meathead. I'm just a giant nerd. But comic book aspect, I love buying. Every time I lift, I'm in comic book socks. Either Venom, Deadpool, or Wolverine socks, to be honest, right now.
Yeah.
And I think I have
work socks on.
Few others, he just came straight from work. He was all, I wish he'd worn your outfit. He was all snazzy earlier.
I should have put
which I'll talk about in a minute.
I
wish he would have had it on for this, but he trained first. is now I can buy clothing and like all sorts of shit that's comic related because like the movie Venom came out. Now I can buy all this Venom stuff I never could have bought before. Same with Deadpool and Wolverine. Which kind of drives me insane sometimes because everybody's buying it because of the movie, but I'm buying it because I've been reading their comics for like
Obsessed with it?
30 years. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it doesn't
So I was looking yesterday for bedspread because I need a new comforter.
Amazon.
And I found them, but they're all duvets, and I think those things are dumb. And then in terms, they're all like
Duvets are dumb.
They were not king size for my bed. So
Kevin.
I'm gonna have to find some custom ones so I can get Wolverine bed.
Am I going to shirt? Duvets are dumb.
I do it. I think Deadpool pillow covers.
Maybe I need to get some for my ship for the ship. I do need to get short
boxers. They have all sorts of stupid stuff. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, a cool thing to talk about today. So today, well, first caveat, I want to cover my hat. This is not a political hat. This says "Make America Athletic Again." I am a Navy chief. I do not express my political opinion on any open forum. But this is "Make America Athletic Again." It's a movement going on started by James Ball, and that a lot of us are a part of. Right? We're trying to show people that it is cool to be athletic, healthy, senior in the military, and still be able to function and be highly effective in the military. While it's no excuse, you can still live a great life and lead by example. If you want to purchase one of these hats, hit jbuller23 up on Instagram. Now I'm going to circle back so all my people that got fired up when they saw me in a red hat now know what it really says. Today, actually, one of my mentors.
Yeah, people get pissed off.
People always think it's a MAGA hat, so I see some of the looks I get. So today I was in my rich people uniform. I was doing some chief stuff. One of my mentors promoted to CWO5. She's one of 6 in the entire Navy out of almost 400,000 people, and she gave me a coin for her promotion ceremony. And it kind of ties into the gym because our slogan is "Set the Standard." And I kind of wanted to read the back of it because what it says is the standard you walk past is the standard you, what the hell does that say? Accept. So the standard you walk past is the standard you accept, right? So that's pretty tight. Ties in with the slogan. So I just want people to think about that. And, and this is probably one of the most successful women I've ever met in my entire life. She's a pro bodybuilder and now a CWO5 in the Navy. Kevin knows, CWO5s are like one of the rarest ranks in the military. We only have 6 females in the entire Navy, so that just shows you how rare it is. And there's
even just entire Navy or Marine Corps in general is just not a lot.
Yeah, so and that shows that the standard you accept, the standard you set, is detrimental to your way of life and to the people around you, the people you get exposed to. And people will follow suit with the standard that you set and accept. So I just wanted to talk about it because that really resonated with me, and it was kind of like, it was cool that it kind of went with our slogan here. So that was CWO5 to TJ Reed, super dope. Cool experience for me today. Our boy Luis was there too, but he showed up in his Get Raw shirt. But you know what it is. It is what it is. That fucking guy.
Yeah. All right, well, I think we'll probably call this one for now. So coming forward, though, since he does leave sometime soon, I'm going to throw the date out, OPSEC stuff. But we're going to knock out. We are going to do one more podcast. So please comment, shoot us on Instagram. The handles will be below by our names. If you have any thoughts or topics for the next podcast before he leaves out, so for us together before I'm solo. And then we're going to start our podcasting couch sessions.
Yes.
We're going to get one in, guest TBD. I think we pretty much know who it is, but we're not going to announce it yet and make sure that's going to work out. We have a few lined up, but we're going to try and get one of those together before he takes off. And it's me on the casting couch alone, podcasting couch alone.
I like it.
With somebody. That'll be our kind of go-to sessions while he is out, especially, and we're going to try and get one of those in. So that's some of the stuff we have coming up.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to keep trying to do the monthly thing or a little bit bi-monthly as we can, especially with the free time. I'm going to try and do one with him while he's on deployment.
Yeah, so when I get in the port, I'll try to schedule a few with Kevin because I do get to stop in a few of the beautiful countries in the Middle East. I do want to say we will try. We're not going to say who, but we're going to try to have a super heavyweight class bodybuilder here and at least a pro strong woman before I go. So which is super dope because we're all across.
We'll
the
announce
board.
those at least a week before we start that, so we can get any questions you might want us to ask them on there.
All right, guys. Well, it was awesome catching up with everyone. Kind of talking about some of our struggles and our athleticism journeys in the military. Any questions? Shoot them to us, and just hit us up on either our Instagrams or the at Southside Barbell, the gym's Instagram. Can't wait to hear from you guys.
Yep, that's Set the Standard Podcast. Have a good night.